My older brother demanded I hand over my lottery winnings because he had real adult bills, and I was just a kid. The rest of the family turned on me instantly. What happened next left them begging for mercy and absolute silence. I was 22 when I hit a major scratch-off lottery ticket worth $350,000. It wasn't never work again money, but for a college student working 2 fast food jobs, it was absolute life-changing wealth. The very first thing I did was pay off my student loans and invest the rest into a solid index fund. I felt like I could finally breathe. To celebrate, I treated my entire family to a high-end steak dinner at the fanciest restaurant in our city. I thought they would be proud of my financial responsibility. I was completely wrong. My older brother, Austin, was 27, deeply in credit card debt, and constantly bouncing between low-paying retail jobs. He and his fiancée, Amber, lived a lifestyle they absolutely could not afford, constantly flexing rented luxury cars and designer clothes on Instagram. The moment the appetizers arrived, Austin clinked his glass to make an announcement. "So, as you all know, Amber and I are planning our dream wedding in Maui," Austin said, staring directly at me. "Since you just stumbled into a fortune, we expect you to write us a check for $80,000 to cover the venue and catering. It's the right thing to do." I laughed, assuming it was a joke, but nobody else was laughing. "Austin, I already invested the money and that's literally a quarter of my winnings," I said. "I can help with a small wedding gift, but I'm not paying for your entire venue." Amber's face completely twisted. "Are you serious right now? You didn't even earn that money. You got lucky. We actually need it for our future. You're just going to waste it." "It's my money," I replied, my voice shaking. "I'm using it to secure my future. Just transfer the funds to your brother," my mom ordered coldly. "Austin is starting a life. You're young, you're single, and you don't have real adult responsibilities yet. Family helps family." I looked at my dad, hoping for a voice of reason. Instead, he slammed his hand on the table. "Don't be a selfish brat. Your brother has been struggling. This is a drop in the bucket for you. Either you support this family, or you aren't part of it." The entitlement in the room was suffocating. I stood up, threw down a $100 bill to cover my own food, and walked out of the restaurant into the freezing rain. "If you don't pay for this wedding, you are dead to us," Austin screamed across the dining room. They weren't bluffing. Over the next few weeks, my family launched a massive smear campaign. My mom blasted me on Facebook, calling me a greedy snake who abandoned his own blood. Relatives I hadn't spoken to in years texted me to tell me how disgusted they were. When I blocked their numbers, they showed up at my apartment, banging on the door until my landlord threatened to call the police. After that, the silence was deafening. They completely cut me off. I wasn't invited to Austin's wedding, which they somehow financed through massive high-interest loans. I missed Thanksgiving, Christmas, and my sister's graduation. For 5 long years, I was completely dead to them. During that time, my investments grew, I graduated debt-free, and I bought a beautiful condo downtown. Then, last Tuesday, my mom showed up at my office building. She looked absolutely broken, frantic, and 10 years older. "Austin is ruined," she sobbed, grabbing my arm. "He and Amber maxed out 12 credit cards. They took out a second mortgage on your father's house using a forged signature. The bank is foreclosing on everything. We are losing the family home next month." I pulled my arm away. "Why are you telling me this now, Mom? We need $120,000 to stop the foreclosure and save Austin from identity theft charges," she wept. "Please, you're our only hope. We have nowhere else to go. We're family." I looked at the woman who had publicly humiliated me and erased me from her life for half a decade over money I won legally. "Where was this energy about family when you threw me to the wolves for refusing to fund Austin's ego?" I asked, completely calm. "We made a mistake," she cried. "But we are your parents. You can't let us become homeless. You chose your favorite son, Mom. Now you can go live with him," I said. I turned around and walked back past the security gates, leaving her crying in the lobby. A month later, my parents' house was foreclosed on. Austin filed for bankruptcy, Amber divorced him, and my parents had to move into a tiny, cramped, 1-bedroom basement apartment. The exact kind of humble living they told me I should be satisfied with.
My golden child brother backstabbed me over our father's $4 million estate, but karma hit him harder. My older brother, Julian, always possessed a terrifying superpower, the ability to bend reality to his will. If he broke a vase when we were kids, by dinner time, he convinced our parents that the vase was structurally unsound, and he was actually a hero for standing near it when it shattered. He was the golden boy, the charismatic extrovert, the one destined for greatness. I, on the other hand, was the quiet architect. I liked spreadsheets, routine, and taking care of the people I loved. I was the reliable background character in the movie of Julian's life. Our father owned a highly successful, mid-sized logistics company in the Midwest. It wasn't glamorous, but it was a cash cow. For 10 years after college, I worked side by side with my dad. I managed the supply chains, optimized the route, and handled the gruff trucker who respected hard work over flashy suits. Julian moved to Los Angeles to become a serial entrepreneur. This mostly consisted of launching vague tech startups that inevitably crashed, requiring Dad to bail him out to the tune of hundreds of thousands of dollars. When Dad was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's, the world stopped, or rather, my world stopped. I stepped down from my executive role to become his full-time caregiver. I fed him, bathed him, managed his endless stream of medication, and watched the strongest man I knew slowly fade away. Julian visited twice in 3 years. Both times, he spent the visit pacing the living room on urgent conference calls, complaining about the Wi-Fi speed in Dad's house. When Dad finally passed away, the grief hit me like a freight train, but there was a quiet comfort in knowing that, according to the estate plan Dad and I had discussed for years, the logistics company and his $4 million in liquid asset would be split evenly. It was more than enough to ensure my mother, who required specialized memory care herself, would be comfortable forever, and I could finally start my own life. Except that's not what happened. 3 days after the funeral, while I was still sorting through the condolences and paying the caterer, Julian's lawyer contacted me. Not Julian, his lawyer. "I'm sorry to inform you, the slick voice on the phone said. But your father's estate was restructured 6 months ago. Julian is the sole beneficiary and the new CEO of the company. I felt the blood drain from my face. That's impossible, I stammered. Dad didn't even know what year it was 6 months ago. But Julian had been busy. During one of his rare 2-day visits, he had brought a private notary and a slimy estate attorney to the house while I was out picking up prescriptions. He had recorded a heavily edited video of Dad nodding along to leading questions, signing away his life's work. Julian's legal team was ruthless, expensive, and perfectly prepared. They had built an ironclad narrative. Dad felt I was burnt out from caregiving and wanted Julian's visionary leadership to take the company global. Because of the airtight legal loopholes his lawyers exploited, fighting it would cost hundreds of thousands of dollars in probate court money I didn't have. Because my accounts were tied to the now frozen estate, Julian didn't waste a single second mourning. Within a month, he fired half the loyal staff at the logistics company to trim the fat. He bought a $2.5 million mansion in the Hollywood Hills, complete with an infinity pool and a 6-car garage. He leased a matte black G-Wagon and started dating an Instagram model who sold detox tea. His social media became a sickening reel of hustle culture garbage. He'd post videos from the back of a chauffeur-driven Maybach, captioning them, "Self-made. Never let small minds tell you that you can't build an empire. Number grind set. Number generational wealth." Meanwhile, I was drowning. Mom's memory care facility cost $8,000 a month. Without my half of the inheritance, I had to sell my car, move into a cramped studio apartment, and take on 3 remote data entry jobs just to keep Mom from being evicted from her facility. I ate ramen noodles while watching my brother post photos of $4,000 gold leaf steaks in Dubai. The injustice of it tasted like ash in my mouth. I wanted to scream. I wanted to burn his life down, but I did nothing. I just worked. I kept my head down, paid the bills, and waited. Because the one thing I knew about Julian was that his ego always outpaced his intelligence. It took exactly 18 months for the cracks to show. Julian, believing his own hype as a financial genius, didn't just spend the money, he gambled it. He took the liquid cash from the estate and poured it into a massive, unregulated cryptocurrency scheme and a fleet of luxury rental sports cars that he financed at predatory interest rates. Worse, he used the logistics company as collateral. Then, the crypto market crashed hard. The exact same week, the IRS came knocking. In his rush to live like a billionaire, Julian had entirely ignored the massive capital gains taxes and corporate tax liabilities associated with the estate transfer and his subsequent liquidation of assets. He hadn't paid a dime to the government. The first frantic phone call came on a Tuesday night. I was eating a peanut butter sandwich, updating my budget spreadsheet. "Bro, I need you." Julian's voice cracked over the line. The arrogant swagger was gone, replaced by the panicked squeak of a cornered rat. "What's wrong, Julian?" I asked, keeping my voice as flat and emotionless as a sheet of glass. "I'm getting audited. It's bad. They're talking about seizing the house. The company's accounts are frozen. I owe like $1.8 million in back taxes and penalties. The crypto tanked, and the sports car guys are threatening to break my leg." He took a ragged breath. "I know things have been tense, but you're smart with money. You always know how to fix things. I need you to co-sign a restructuring loan. Just $300,000 to get the IRS off my back while I pivot." He was asking me to take on a massive debt to save the mansion he bought with the money he stole from me. The audacity was almost impressive. I let silence hang on the line for a long, torturous 10 seconds. "Julian," I finally said softly, "you told the lawyers that Dad thought I was burnt out. You said I wasn't capable of handling big financial responsibility. So, logically, this sounds like a visionary leadership problem. You're the self-made empire builder. Manifest a solution." "Don't do this," he begged, his voice rising to a hysterical pitch. "We're family. Dad would want us to stick together." "Dad didn't even know his own name when you made him sign those papers," I replied coldly. "Don't ever say his name to me again." I hung up and blocked his number. But I wasn't entirely done. You see, during the weeks I had spent managing the estate before Julian's lawyers swooped in, I had made copies of everything. Every ledger, every bank statement, every piece of shady correspondence. Julian had been incredibly sloppy in his first few months. He had used company funds for personal expenses, the G-Wagon, the Dubai trips, the gold leaf steak, and wrote them off as business development and charitable write-off. I organized all of these documents into a beautifully formatted, heavily indexed PDF. It was a masterpiece of forensic accounting. I didn't just send it to the IRS auditor assigned to his case. I sent it to the SEC, the State Labor Board, and the logistics company's primary vendor. I did it completely anonymously. The fallout was biblical. Within 2 months, Julian was utterly destroyed. The IRS didn't just seize his Hollywood mansion. They seized his card, his frozen account, and his designer watch collection. His Instagram model girlfriend left him the moment the G-Wagon was towed from the driveway. He was hit with massive fines for tax evasion and corporate fraud. But here is where the universe truly delivered its masterpiece. Because Julian had used the logistics company as collateral for his reckless personal loan, the bank foreclosed on the business. It was put up for public auction. Remember those gruff, hard-working truckers and warehouse managers Julian had fired to trim the fat? They hadn't forgotten me. During the 18 months I was working 3 jobs, I had quietly kept in touch with the old management team. We pooled our resources, secured a modest small business loan, and approached the bank. Since the company was distressed and heavily scrutinized by the government, no major buyers wanted to touch it. We bought my father's company back for pennies on the dollar. Today, the logistics company is thriving again. I reinstated the employees Julian fired, offering them profit sharing, Mom is comfortable in the best memory care wing in the state, and I visit her every Sunday. As for Julian, he's currently working as a barista at a chain coffee shop in a strip mall in Nevada, living in a rented room above a laundromat. His wages are being heavily garnished by the federal government, and he will likely be paying off his debt for the rest of his natural life. His Instagram account is dead silent. I only kept one thing from his brief stolen reign as a millionaire. Before the bank seized his Hollywood mansion, a sympathetic former employee managed to grab a framed, custom neon sign Julian had hung in his home office. It read, "You get exactly what you earn." It currently sits in my warehouse office, right above my father's old oak desk, and every time I look at it, I can't help but smile, because for one, Julian was absolutely right.